Just a big song and dance. We're not using it. It's gone. Get rid of it. It's Monday morning. We're in the yard. It's going to be a monumentous day. We are preparing to make history and finally load a train in the Ashville yard. As you can see, we have the finest of material ready for processing, and we have created a ramp here. We're setting up a temporary weighing system at the top of the yard to weigh the train when it enters and leaves. So the van, which is bringing the kit, will drive on here, and this is where it's driving off. The L860 has been refueled, it has been greased. The only thing the lads are doing now is cleaning out the tracks. Our thoughts are with Flo, who is not with us at the moment, but our good friends at Quattro are borrowing us an operator for the day. The only thing left to do is for me. I've created a little template for the operator to use to note down how much material he loads into each wagon, and to make any notes of any defects he sees in the wagons, or generally just any information which he thinks will be helpful at the other end when they go to offload. Look at that, the ramp worked perfectly. Hold on.
Do we know the weight of the wagons coming in?
If it's the same box wagons you lot were running into us from Cliff and New Haven, they were like 25?
I think it might have already been here.
Under there.
Under,
and then
yeah.
it sits on the machine. So you just literally need, like that, just to, it only needs a little hole, not mad.
Pardon?
It will sit on the inside of the rail.
Okay.
So that will sit here, in between this,
Yeah.
and in between there, that's perfect.
If you fancy leaving this here permanently, you can just...
Buy one yourself, man.
Of course I could, but I'd prefer it for free. I couldn't buy one, thanks. Appreciate it, mate. If you want to know how this weighing system works, you need to watch the standalone video of us loading our first train. But do not click off this video now and start messing with the watch time and the algorithm. Please watch this video now, and after this, watch the other one. It will be on the screen cards at the very end of the video. We thank you for your time and loyalty.
The weighing setup form will be Ashville. Then we set the material, so it will be spoil. Loco will be pulling in direction. Then we've got loco axles 6.
Yeah.
Wagons 4. Press start and we go.
And we're ready for a train. Mate, we have no idea where the train is. We are now ready. The weighing system is in. Operator is ready. Paperwork is ready. We just had a safety briefing with the safety officer from the train operator, and just let us know that we should distribute the material within the body and not have any large clumps, because when it goes out onto the main line, that can cause derailments. He said if the train does come in with residue in it from a previous train which wasn't offloaded fully, then we should actually take that and try to spread that ourselves before we begin to put more on top of it. So we're ready. Calmly. There's no panic in here.
all the 4 axles, and then all together you've got the overall weight. So that's all of them coming in empty.
Okay.
So we can export that now, and then we can reverse and get it going out. See the differences. Okay?
Yeah.
We've just been told that we cannot load the 6 wagon from the loco, which is the one that's right next to the L860. We've done a run around, we've just reattached, we're gonna push the train in, and then we need to let the operator know that he cannot in fact load the one that's right in front of him, which is the most convenient to load out of all of them. It's like when you're looking for your keys, they're always gonna be in the last place. It's just, but thus far, all is going well. We are ready. We're gonna load a train, and this is gonna be the first step in the future, I would say. I did that because there's somebody who doesn't want to be on camera, and I walked as closely to it as I could so we didn't have to lose the footage. The lens is kind of dirty here, let me just... Friday and I, mid-offload, filming for a standalone video with the details of what's going on today. In case you want to know why sometimes we drag it out, an event turns into multiple videos, the engineering of the train track, and then what happened the first time that you could blame Friday for that. Friday thinks that everything is a standalone video. A lie, Friday? The operator has taken a quick break. The loading isn't going according to plan, but it's not going badly. And you know how it goes in the Ashville yard. There are challenges we overcome, and we keep pushing. Isn't it, Friday?
That's it. That's all you can do.
We do have other work going on in the yard. I can see that our friends at Springbridge are coming in to collect as well. The sun is not shining on us today, but still, we push on. All is moving in the right direction. There we go again, evolving on the job. The plan has changed. We are now using the loading shovel. At our pile, which is ready for processing, we can actually pull up to some of the wagons straight on, 60 to 65 tons going in. I'm a bit worried when the big clumps of material fall into the wagon, but these wagons are 25 tons and each bucket of material is around 7.5 tons. So hopefully this shouldn't cause any problems. Each time we bring the bucket back down, we're examining to see if there's any clumps of muck stuck in it. If there is, we use the shovels and we clean it.
7.4. So you need 8 buckets in there. Do 9 buckets.
So the L860 is working down there. We've got the drone up here. How many was that? 7.4 again. Let's get this train loaded. The time now is 6:29 p.m. We loaded 1 wagon. Because these wagons are a slightly different type, they're slightly shorter. We were able to get into the top and load with a shovel. We couldn't do it on the other ones, but it was a good exercise because when discussing with the shunter, next time we're going to create a ramp along the front here and we're going to start to load the train from the back with the shovel and then with the material handler at the front at the same time. That's gonna be our plan for next time, but you know, it's trial and error and we are learning on the job. But even if we wanted to load the very rear wagon, we cannot, because someone spotted a defect. Where is it? There is a defect here, which means that this cannot be loaded. It would help if I could find it. But the health and safety officer from the train operator was here, and he saw something on this wagon which he said
wasn't safe, and why take the risk?
If you can imagine, this is loaded with material and goes at 60 miles an hour through a passenger train station and something falls out, we don't even want to entertain those type of thoughts. So better safe than sorry. We have 6 wagons left to go, and this train will be fully loaded, and then we're going to have to drive over the weighing scales and assess exactly what we're going to do. Are we going to bring it back in and take some out, or are we going to let it go as it is? It's going to be a long night for all who are at Ashville. The LH60 is going to track down this way, and the loading shovel is going to take the material from the pile over there and bring it here so the LH60 can continue to load. I think we've got about 4 wagons left to go now. I don't even know 4. I said that for 4 wagons left to go. We have loaded as much of the train as we possibly can, and final checks are now taking place before we pass over the weighing scales. Now, at the moment, every time I've been on a set of scales, I've been more, considerably more than what I want to be. So hopefully that isn't the case with our train today. Looking at the readings, we weren't sure if they're 100% accurate, so we're back in the train in again. We're going to weigh it as it comes in, and then we're going to weigh it as it's pulled out. If we get the same readings again, we know that it was correct the first time, but we just want to make sure. What's important is that the train is not going out onto the main line overweight, because then it wouldn't be able to operate as it was meant to. It wouldn't be able to stop in time should the worst happen. And we will know how much more we can put in the train next time if in fact we are massively underweight. Better under than over. On the second time, going over the weighing system, we got the same results. The train was far from overloaded, and we had an average in each wagon of around 50 to 55 tons. Our aim was 60 to 65 tons. But as this was our first work in progress, we erred on the side of caution. We now have a full understanding of what will be required from us in the future and how we can improve our systems and processes. Want a hand?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What side are we grabbing now?
Cable, fingers. There's tucked to this rail now.
Yeah, 1 minute because it's heavy, guys.
He's saying light work.
Heavier.
Get it. You'll get that.
It's light work, mate. It's not heavy.
Go on then, get it.
What?
Go on, get it.
If you want me to prove it, I'll prove it.
One hand, you'll get that.
There we go.
Good lad.
Just watch yourself, Simon.
Thank you.
You know, you could leave this here for us. There's no need to take it straight away. We could make good use of it. Yep, keep coming. Keep coming. time now is 9:05 p.m. Train is now gone. I'm just helping the lads with the weighing system get out of the yard. Then we'll be locking up and calling it a day. First thing tomorrow morning, I will see you at the Central London Penthouse project. Don't be late. It's Tuesday. I'm not in the yard. I'm at the Central London Penthouse project. A couple of weeks back, I told you about the 3 full-size tiles that needed to fit on this wall. So said, so done. In case you're wondering why they don't go all the way up to the ceiling, that is because that's where we're gonna have our suspended ceiling. You can see the cutouts in place here for the shower mixers. And if you have a look on this side, you can see the cutout that went in for the niche in front of the bath. Now, we have prepared another tile, and we are calm, but we did hit the panic stations a little bit, because every time we cut the tile out, we thought to ourselves, if this tile cracks, we have to start all over again. But the tile is fully prepared. We're gonna mix up some adhesive, and now we are gonna put another tile with plenty of cutouts on the wall right here. In the other bathroom, all the tiling is complete. Here we have everything we need for the second fix. At the moment, the only item we fitted is the basin mixer. In the bedrooms, mist coats are complete, spotlights are in. We need to install the bifolds, and we are storing other windows which are going to be fitted in other parts of the apartment. For weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been going on about the acoustic floating floor, which is going to sit on top of the 18mm ton and groove chipboard. This is going to be in both the bedrooms, the hallway, and the living room, but not in the bathrooms or kitchens, because those floors are going to be tiled. In the living room, time to test a set of bifolds. Nice. Oh, yeah. Feather light. Wow. And we are going to have a step here, out onto your terrace in central London. Fantastic. This material is a composite. You've seen us use it in the past at Andrew Southern's garden salvage project. This is the material that's going to be used to create the structure underneath the decking. Now the decking is going to arrive either today or tomorrow. It's the white finish that we showed you a couple of weeks back. This structure is going to float. It's not going to be drilled in or secured, because underneath this we have a membrane which is waterproof, which manages the rainwater. So if you look at the small 3mm gaps here, the water falls beneath these gaps, and there's a drainage slope beneath. It runs over, is collected into a gutter, and then taken away into downpipes. When we finally have the light oak engineered wood flooring and the light colored decking outside, it should give a feeling of continuity and bring the outside in. Sash windows finished, so we are boarding both sides with ply. Afterwards, we're going to finish off with plasterboard. Underneath this, all of the insulation was taped and sealed, and any gaps we had, we used expanding foam. Thank you. Eventually, we are going to build a step here. If we move over to this side, the door is installed, but we still have finishing work to do Looking from a side profile, here you can see the plasterboard backed with ply. We do this on as many walls as we can in the kitchen to provide a firm fixing. We have a kitchen plan of where all of the units are going to be, but we don't know what the client may decide later once they move in. So it always makes life a lot easier. The window recess is quite deep, so to get around that, we have the kitchen worktop here, which is stone. There's then a 75mm upstand, again in stone, and then we have a shelf. Overall, the build up here, if you include the thickness of the stone and the upstand, will be around 100mm, and the shelf will be the exact same material as the worktop, so we have continuity, and it looks like it was intended to be made in that way. That's it from me, from the Central London Penthouse project. I am now heading back to the yard. With the ply in place, we can now fit the moisture-resistant plasterboard and prepare for plastering. Meanwhile, back at the Ashville yard. Another one of our lorries is leaving. This lorry was actually paid for 2 weeks ago and hasn't been collected. Finally, the owner has sent someone in to assist and collect. On the subject of not running lorries anymore, obviously previously when we had our roll-on roll-off, we would tip our own scrap bins. So we got a number of scrap bins dotted around the yard. And obviously there's a little bit of pocket change to be made from the scrap bins, which can go towards buying oils, small tools. But we can't tip our own bins now. So we reached out to a couple of scrap steel companies. And get this, they will drop their bin in and exchange their bin whenever we want. See ya. They'll exchange their bin. Yes, please. They'll exchange their bin whenever we want for £75. I know we don't have the lorry and we can't do the other bits and we can't collect the plant, but for £75, once a week or once every 3-4 days, the bin can be exchanged. And it's a nice bin, not one of our battered bins that we've been holding on to for years, trying to give life extension strategies and welding it back together. We don't have any of the liability associated with it. We don't have to worry about the tyres, and we don't have to worry about anything. For 75 quid, and we still get all our money for the scrap, and the 75 quid is actually deducted off the money of the bin, which they take. Can't go wrong. I think that maths works out fantastically. It doesn't always work like that, but in this situation, it works out well. And that's it for Tuesday.
It's Wednesday, we're in the yard, I'm having a tidy up, trying to make as much usable space as possible. There were loads of bits and pieces that we were keeping off old lorries in case we needed them in the future. We're not going to need them anymore, so they're going to go into the scrap bin, and we're going to have a look in our steel storage area and see what else can go in the scrap bin. We need to create as much usable space as possible and stop holding onto bits and pieces just for the sake of it.
We have a load of track that we're also going to get rid of, but it's too long to fit in a bin and we don't have the flatbed to load it onto. So we're going to use the oxygen and burning gear, and we're going to burn these down to small enough sizes and also drop it into our scrap bin. Another train of material going out is booked for Monday. And now we have the experience. I'm gonna move around some material in the yard to ensure we are properly prepared for the train. So I'm gonna take the rest of the stockpile of the non-hazardous clay. I'm gonna move it round to this side, but I don't want the shovel running around empty burning diesel. So while the shovel is over here, I'm going to take the concrete blocks. I said blocks, I didn't say any word in between them. I'm going to take those blocks and I'm going to move them round and we're going to dump them over into the processing area. When we do build bays, the bays are not going to be made from concrete blocks. We're going to shutter, steel reinforce and pour. Unless somebody comes in and buys the blocks immediately, they're just going to sit here being stored. I'm just going to take all of these blocks, I'm going to dash them in a pile to be processed with the concrete that you've seen coming in, and we're going to process it and make the finest of the fine recycled material. And that'll mean when people come in to tip the non-hazardous material which is going to go on the train, we can say, hey, we have got some recycled gear for you to collect. But the key is to ensure that we're prepared long in advance so we're not scrambling round just before the train gets in. A little bit like we were doing the other day. Heading back up to my office for a Zoom at 11 a.m. I have ordered a hydraulic breaker to fit onto the 914 to start to break down the concrete blocks into a lot more manageable sizes so we can begin to process them also. So in the yard, all is going according to plan and we are moving forward. No lorries. But we are still moving forward regardless. Now let's head to central London and see how the lads are getting on. The delivery for the decking has arrived. Now, in this bathroom, we have the last large format tile to fit. Meanwhile, back at the Ashville yard. Well, that didn't work, did it? That was the breaker trying to get onto the 914. We had some problem with fittings and metric or something like that.
So the supplier will have to come back tomorrow, and we'll have to get someone in who can try and fit some adaptations so we can get that machine plumbed in and start to break those blocks. And you're probably thinking,
Why is he breaking the blocks when he can sell them?
do you know what? It's almost easier to just break the blocks down because we're not going to use them anymore. And at least if they're in material, people are more likely to come and collect a load of 6F5. If someone wants to buy concrete blocks, they got to come and look at them. Then they got to measure. Then we got to help them work out the bays, and then they got to be delivered. And it's just a big song and dance. We're not using it. It's gone. Get rid of it. Make as much space as possible so we can actually use the space. When you actually calculate how much space the blocks are taking up being stacked, and you divide it by the cost per square foot, the amount of money you're actually paying in storage for it, you just think to yourself, like, what am I doing here? I might as well just lock the gates and just call it a day, because that doesn't make any sense. As long as in the future I don't have to buy them again. But we are keeping a volumetrical too, so if we needed to, we still have the molds, we could pour them again. And now, Sir Foxy, you haven't seen him in a while. He is very busy up at Hurt Plant Hire and Fox in the north of the country. And we have been using their 5-ton excavator for a while down here, because we never had a 5-tonner in the original fleet. But they need it back because they're so busy, and it just came back from hire the other day. And they also need to borrow one of our machines to take it up from one of their customers. And as it's going to fit on the low loader, you might as well do it now, rather than sending it up later on. So they were very accommodating to us, and they borrowed us a machine for an extended period of time so we could cross hire. So we are now going to return the favor.
Thursday, we're in the yard. Our cleanup went very well in between the bagging plant and the still stillage. My Townies dog is barking at me. Phone calls are coming in for clients who would like to collect. Some of them have asked for materials which we don't have. We aim to stock them in the future, but at the moment we're keeping it very simple. Been pricing a job for a little while with David when we looked at a couple of weeks back, and it's going to take a lot of temporary work. There's a huge structural wall that we need to remove. We need to prop it up, and then we need to put some steel reinforcement in place. It's going to be a lot more complicated than we thought, because we need a steel box frame and to remove an additional pillar, because the pillar which we were going to use is not going to be strong enough. It's good to be in the market, pricing lots of work, and the phone is ringing, which is always very promising. And now we're heading into central London to see how the lads are getting on. Chris is replacing a previous outside tap so the client can have a hose connection to wash the decking and feed plants. Internally, 15mm copper pipe is used as a feed. Externally, we replace the actual tap, but not the pipe or fittings, as these are perfectly good and sit within the lead, which we don't want to disturb unless we absolutely have to. In the bedroom, the entire room is plastered except the area around the windows, as we were waiting for these to be installed. First, Peter measures, cuts and bores the sections under the bifolds with 18mm ply. We're going to fit a step for access here later. He then cuts away the excess expanding foam and starts to board the area with 2 skins of 12.5mm plasterboard. The first skin is fixed with 25mm drywall screws and the next with 42mm. The window reveal has 1 skin of plasterboard, which is 12.5mm and moisture resistant. Once fixed, a Stanley knife is used to cut and the board can be broken away. Then, a surf form block plane is used to plane down the plasterboard to create a smooth finish.
Now on to Suavek's side, which has cables in place for the external switches. He creates an opening, feeds through, and the boarding can begin in the same way as you saw on the other side. Trying to get the breaker onto the 914. So we've got a hydraulic specialist that's come in and we're gonna give it another go because we need to start breaking up some of these concrete blocks. The issue here is the machine and breaker have two different types of thread. Once we remove the blanking plates, we can try to create a concoction of fittings, which is BSP at one end and metric at the other. The machine is metric, which uses millimeters to measure diameter and pitch. There are variations, but typically it's a 60-degree thread angle. The breaker is BSP, which is British Standard Pipe, which uses inches for measurement and has a 55-degree thread angle. We'll need to make two of these as to connect to the attachment and create the required working pressure and flow rate. We need a feed which pumps in the hydraulic fluid and a return which dumps the hydraulic fluid back into the tank. We're in the game, breaking away. Let the processing begin. It's Friday, we're in the yard, and there we are, running around like headless chickens, moving material, trying to make space, making sure that all the machines are working well. Just ordered a load of diesel for Monday, asked the tyre fitter to come in on Monday. There's a puncture on the loading shovel, there's a puncture on the forklift, there's a puncture on the tyre van, and there's a puncture on the front wheel of the Amarok somehow. And somehow we're not running lorries, but we have a 295 with a puncture over there as well. And I've ordered a couple of tyres. We can build the 8 rims we've got left to create full set, so we are ready for any eventuality. And then the train gets cancelled. Again. Which is very unfortunate and disheartening because I feel like we learnt a lot on Monday and I felt like we were ready. The new pile which we've made down here, I think that would have meant we're in a great place to get this train loaded completely with the L860 and shave at least an hour off our last loading time, but it wasn't meant to be. Very disappointing. Chicken George, as he's now known because he's in the machine all day, pecking away. Once we break up the blocks, we're going to make our way up to the very top of the yard next to the stone because there is a massive concrete block up there. What is always in the way. So while we have the equipment to do so, we're going to break that down and then use the shovel and throw it down here with the rest of the concrete so it can be processed and we can utilize the little bit of space up there. We're going to continue in the yard, keep moving the material and prepare as best we can. And I will try to handle the compliance and other work required before we can get a train back in here. Celtic have been good enough to drop our traffic lights back. So I am now going to reconnect like the Christmas lights at Regent Street. Is it on? It's Saturday and I'm in the yard.
changing my laces again because I tie them so tightly because I don't want a stone in the yard to roll my ankle. I want the ankle support. I do them up tight, like proper strangle foot, and my laces can't keep up with the pressure and they keep ripping all the time. One of my good friends just popped up to the yard for a meeting. The yard itself is closed other than the video team. Friday's downstairs. Ashville Weekly episode 230 is going up tomorrow. And not like I was confused, but I was just a little unclear on a plan for the future I'm putting together. And he popped in and we discussed, and just a 5-minute conversation just gave me a bit of a new perspective and was able to kind of like amplify the energy. And he's got a lot of connections and he's looking to plug them into the future and what we're doing. I've also spent time today looking at all the bits and pieces which I have been acquiring over the last few years, Ashville's antiques, and some stuff which isn't antiques, and actually working out, am I going to use this or am I just holding on to this for no reason? And if I'm not going to use it anymore, then I think it's time to sell it, because I look at everything and I just don't see rubbish. I think this can be reused, but when you end up paying to store something for long enough, you might as well have just put it in the scrap or sold it to someone or just waited and then bought a new one. Because if you imagine every inch of square foot in every depot is costing you money. So if you buy something and store it for 3 years, if you count the square foot, it probably costs more. So there will be a bit of a clean out at Ashville. I've already put a couple of bits on eBay today. Our concrete pump is going. We had loads of line so we could run 350 meters of line if need be. All of those are going. The lever clips, they're also going. And a couple of the containers which we've been storing, they can go as well. They will generate a bit of income, but more importantly, they'll give space which we can utilize and do something that's going to generate revenue. If we do need the bits in the future, I'm going to regret it. But at that point, I'll buy a new one, which will probably be more reliable, as we won't need to alter it or do anything to it to make it fit for purpose.
In the edit, when I get down there, I'm going to say this is where the van's driving on, and then cut to that. This is where it drives off, then cut back to that. Loading. What did I say? Okay. The LH60 has been greased. The LH60 has been greased. Make sure you get it, Luke. Let's get 2 angles. You go over there, I'll go here. I'm going to start to try and knock out a couple of the weekly. It's just what's his outtakes now. Hey, do you know what? For the outtake, it's not outtakes. There's going to be a standalone video with exactly what happened when the train came in. So if we face any problems, it's not going to be in weekly, unfortunately. It's going to be in standalone video. And Friday, just so you know, Friday's the one who tries to extend it so it's as many videos as possible. I have a really important question. Do you know where the train is?
I can try and find it. We're trying to find out for everybody, but nobody's answering the phones. I'll try somebody.
Weekly. Weekly. Something for weekly, yeah? Is it? Just showing him on the drone. Show him too. Yeah? Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Do you want to come and get this clip here?
Yeah, but what's
I don't know what it was. Salush! No, don't worry, don't panic. I'm here. We needed this clip. I'm just going to give him a sec. But you could, it's nice and wide, yeah? You can see a lot of this, yeah? So said, So done. And doesn't it look fantastic? The tiles end just they end just above where the suspended ceiling. Cool. In the bedroom, our mist coats are on the wall. We have all of our... In one of the bedrooms, we have our mist coats on the wall. You can see the room feels a lot brighter with... This is the timber to... This is the composite, which... So if you look at the gap in the decking, the water falls through this 3mm gap. This is sloped and it takes it away to... Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Phone calls are starting to come in for people who would like to connect. Connect material. Connect or collect material. Ah, this is hard work, all this. You know, you just couldn't make it any more difficult, could you? You know, just... Yeah? Is it on? Oh, that is meant to come on when I did that. Oh, wow, we've pressed the button now. It's linking, it's linking. Is it on? No. Catching signal and boom! There it is. We are now working well. And here, it will probably be next week. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 232. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here for an Ashville video you may not have seen before. And click down here for last week's episode, which was number 231. Look at this, my laces.